Welcome, ladies and gents. Chris Andre here. You can find me at BetBoxing on Twitter for boxing-related tweets, or you can subscribe to the channel to get notifications whenever a new video is uploaded. I want to talk about Lyndon Arthur's win over Anthony Yarde. It was a controversial fight in the sense that Anthony Yarde was fuming at the end of the fight. He felt that he definitely won the fight. He was really, really angry. However, the vast majority of people that I've seen on Twitter felt that Arthur won it comfortably. Now, there were a lot of people that felt the fight was very close. I personally felt it was a draw. I had it 6 rounds apiece. Now, Rob Tebbett had it 6 rounds apiece. Paul Smith said he felt the fight was very close. David Hay said it could have gone either way, and he had it to Arthur, I believe. Sorry, he had it to Yarde, I believe, by 1 round. John Angus MacDonald, who's a writer for the Boxing Social, he had it a draw. So, although there were a number of people that felt the fight was very close, there was another amateur boxer who I've retweeted who had the fight a draw. So, you know, a lot of people felt the fight was very, very close. But despite that, I got a lot of stick. There's one guy called Azza who said that basically only me and Tunde had the fight to Yarde early on. So let's analyze this, because he was then backed up by someone else. Now, bear in mind, after 6 rounds, I had it 4-2 to Yarde. So he had it 5-1 to Arthur. Now, I did say there were 3 swing rounds, so I could see how that could swing the other way. I'm not saying it was terrible to have it the other way. However, what that made me do is rewatch the early rounds. So we'll talk about what I saw when I rewatched it on slow motion, pausing to see if shots genuinely landed, rewinding, doing slow-mos, watching it properly. I wanted to rewatch the fight, see what I saw, and then we'll talk about the technical elements of where Yarde went wrong. Because although there was a draw, in my opinion, there were things Yarde should have done that he didn't do. Now, first and foremost, before I go into this, I also want to read to you what I wrote, because I couldn't bring you a video. I didn't have the time to bring you a pre-fight video. So I want to quickly tell you guys what I wrote in the build-up just before the fight as to how the fight would go. Like I said, I couldn't bring a preview video, so I thought I would tell you my thoughts on Twitter. And I wrote, this is a great clash of styles. You've got one guy who's got a genuinely top-class jab in Arthur, and then you've got another guy who's very, very good at educated destruction on the inside or at mid-range, and we're talking about Anthony Yarde. In my opinion, I said, Arthur will build up a lead, and Yarde will have to up the tempo and go to work as the fight develops. Yarde can be inactive for large periods. I expect Arthur to get on the back foot, snap his head back with a jab. Yarde has a tendency to lean away in a crouch to evade shots, whereby he gives up his position to counter. However, in both Spellman and Anim fights, Arthur would get caught with leading power shots. He reacts very well when a power shot follows a jab and evades the second shot well or rolls with it. But when that power shot is sudden, he can get caught. So look out for Yarde's sudden attacks that are leaping, such as the leaping left hook out of a crouch, or the right hand to the lead right hand to the head or body. Additionally, Arthur is competent with his back off the ropes, rolling with shots and countering. Yarde will need to freeze him to the body and work his way up rather than just headhunt. Either way, it will be Arthur on points or Yarde late KO, in my opinion. If I have to guess, I lean towards Yarde late, but it could go either way. Let me know your predictions. Now, when I've written that, it would suit me to say, yeah, man, Arthur built up a big lead early on, just like I told you would happen. And Yarde came on strong, just like I told you would happen, but it wasn't enough. He had a very strong 12th round. And, he hurt Arthur a couple of occasions. But, Arthur held on, so everything I told you would happen has happened. Give me a round of applause, everybody. Like and subscribe and all that. That's not me. I'm honest. That's not what happened. So what I did is I watched the fight, like I said, on slow motion. And this is what we saw. I separated 4 categories: jab to the head, jab to the body, power shot to the head, power shot to the body. Round 1 and 3 I gave to Arthur, so there's no point in analysing those because nobody can question me if they believe that Arthur swept the early part of the fight. I agree, you won those rounds. Round 2, you had 4 jabs to the head from Arthur and 1 power shot to the body. Yarde only had 1 jab to the head, but he also had 2 jabs to the body and 3 power shots to the body. Now, you either count body shots or you don't. If you do, he landed the more significant shots in that fight, in that round, and he outlanded Arthur by 6 shots to 5. In round 4, you had Arthur landing 7 jabs to the head and 1 jab to the body. That's all he landed. No power shots. A power shot, by the way, is anything other than a jab when you're talking about CompuBox numbers. Yarde landed 3 jabs to the head rather than the 7. He landed 4 jabs to the body though, compared to Arthur's 1. And he also landed 4 power shots to the body. 3 power shots to the body. So he's outlanded him 11 punches to 8 and landed the more significant shots. Round 5. You had Arthur landing 5 jabs to the head and 2 jabs to the body. So 7 jabs in total and 1 power shot to the head. Anthony Yarde landed 2 jabs to the head, 2 jabs to the body, 2 power shots to the head and 1 power shot to the body. So in this particular round, Arthur outlanded him 8 punches to 7. But it's 1 punch difference, and it was Yarde that landed the more significant shots. I explained some of these were swing rounds. Personally, when it's 1 punch difference like that, I went for the guy who's landed the more significant shots. In the previous round, by the way, in round 4, which like I said I'd given to Yarde and I explained why, the commentator says Yarde's landed those 2 right hands because they were significant and eye-catching, but has not done much else. So I've just explained to you how he did much else in terms of outlanded him 11 shots to 8. But it's a problem when you listen to commentators. That's one thing. You've got to sometimes clear your mind of what the commentators are saying and watch the fight. The other problem is that you have preconceived notions of what you're expecting. People are thinking, yeah, Yarde's got to come in there and start throwing these big shots, rocking him, smashing him around the ring. So when you're seeing that actually Arthur, who wants to keep him at bay, is successful in doing so, you might be placing too much emphasis on what a lot of people call ring generalship. The idea that, yeah, he's fighting his fight. Yeah, he's fighting his fight, but you're still judging punches. In other words, let's say I want to keep you on the end of a jab, right? And you want to have a tear up, and you manage to get close, and you have a tear up, but I'm beating you up. What? Just because I'm fighting your fight, but I'm beating you up. You're scoring the round. You're getting the round. Don't work like that. Who's landing the shots? So then we move on to round 6. There were 5 jabs landed to the head and 2 jabs landed to the body by Arthur. He hasn't landed any other shots, just 7 jabs. Well, Anthony Yarde lands 4 jabs to the head and 3 jabs to the body, so they've landed 7 jabs each. But Anthony Yarde also lands a power shot to the head and a power shot to the body. He outlands him 9 shots to 7 with more significant shots. So all it did is reinforce the fact that Yarde was 4-2 up. Now, what other people started to do is when Yarde started to increase his urgency and work harder, everyone's like, oh yeah, Anthony's working harder now. He's increased the tempo. He's speeding up his feet. He's got him going. And they start scoring all the rounds to him. And they're saying, yeah, he had the latter part of the fight. No, it doesn't work like that either. Aggression alone is not effective if it's not effective aggression. Who is landing the shots? Who's landing them? So in round 7, for instance, Arthur is actually the one that increased the tempo and he had a more active jab and he won that round. Okay, so I had it 4-3 at that point. In round 8, Yarde started to let his hands go. All right, started to let his hands go, and he even gave an arrogant smirk at the end of the round to the corner of Arthur. So he felt like, yeah, I've figured this out. So it was 5-3 to Yarde. It looked like the tide was starting to turn significantly in his favour. The 9th round, though, was a good round for Arthur. Okay, he landed a big right hand early, and that halted the forward momentum of Yarde. He started being, he wasn't throwing much caution to the wind. He started to be a little bit more standoffish. But what was happening there, not only was he being more standoffish, Arthur was landing. So it's not just that Yarde wasn't moving forward. Arthur was landing jabs. So 5-4, I give that round to Arthur. Then it went 5-5 in my opinion because Yarde upped the tempo, but he was following Arthur around the ring. This one error that he made consistently. He wasn't cutting off the ring. He was following him. So there were points where Arthur would reach the ropes and literally just turn slightly and move away. And Yarde would be following him like he was following a garden path. He's got to slide across. He wasn't doing that because he was so focused on staying in front of him, but also this little upper body movement, these little twitches, just to take away the right hand from Arthur. And we'll get to that in a second, right? Because he was eating far too many jabs trying to do this, by the way. He was trying to be almost too perfect with what he was doing, not, never wanting to take a risk. He wanted to counter everything. Sometimes you've got to lead. You've got to take the initiative. But one of the issues that he had, actually, hold on, I'll get to that in a second. The next round, the 11th, was Arthur's, in my opinion. Very close round. Yarde landed a couple of the bigger, cleaner shots, but Arthur was a lot more consistent with the snapping jab. So this is what I'm saying. If you're landing a lot of jabs and the other guy lands a couple of sort of power shots, is it enough to really sway the round? Probably not. When they're close like this, though, and one guy's outlanding the other guy, like I've shown you in the rounds I analysed, then of course I'm going to give him the round if he's landing more significant shots. In the 12th, Yarde is doing what he started to really let his hands go, and he should have been doing this earlier. Starting to be sudden, like we spoke about in the preview, those tweets where I said about how you can affect Arthur by being sudden. That's what he needed to do earlier in the fight. So it's not that he wasn't winning a lot of those early rounds. It's just that by doing that and setting that tempo, he would have been a lot more eye-catching. He would have landed more significant shots. But that doesn't mean he had to do it consistently, because when he did start to try up the tempo and he got a little bit impatient, he was getting picked off with the jab. Now, one of the problems he's got, like I said, is that he loses his positioning often. So he'll be twitching away and moving away, trying to duck away. But there isn't that thought process of the minute he misses, I'm going to counter him. Other than one thing he does very, very well is a pull right hand, something that Floyd does. He'll show you his chin. He'll lean back. You throw your shot. It falls short. And he'll throw a straight hand down the pipe. Or he'll slip the shot on the outside of your lead shot and then throw the right hand down the pipe again. And he landed one really nice shot like that at the end of one of the rounds. One of these rounds that I've analysed here. It was a really nice shot. But what I want to see him doing is rolling under punches, coming in with hooks, being able to fight like an Alexander Povetkin, to develop that style, because he's got the attributes to do that. Because he's actually not slow of foot at all, even though he's quite top heavy. So he's got to develop that, in my opinion. He's got to work on that. But it was a close fight, a very close fight. So this idea that, also, here's another thing, right? At the end of I think it was at the end of the 5th or the 6th, they panned into the corners. And all these people that are sitting there and saying, Lyndon Arthur won the foot, was creaming him early on. I've explained to you how he was only landing jabs, right? He was asked by his corner, what's going on with the right hand? And he said, I can't land the right hand. Now, the commentary team, this is why I always say, be wary of commentary teams. They were trying to make out like he'd hurt his right hand. I knew he hadn't hurt his right hand. He was throwing it sporadically. But Anthony Yarde took his right hand away with those little twitchy movements. He took it away from him. He left him only with the jab. Now, at the end of the fight, I rate Lyndon Arthur for his honesty, because they gave him an out. Steve Bunce asked him, did you hurt your right hand? And he goes, no, I didn't hurt my right hand, but I couldn't land it. He had a very good defense. So he's telling you, this guy took my right hand away from me. And there are people out there that are saying, Lyndon Arthur won the fight 9-3. Based on what? Based on what? That Anthony Yarde wasn't beating him all over the ring. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you expected to happen. This was a close, competitive fight between two very, very good operators. If a rematch happens, I believe Anthony Yarde would win the rematch. I believe he would quicken up his feet. I believe he's going to work more on entry point. He's going to throw a little bit more caution to the wind in a controlled manner. But listen, you've got to count body shots, man. They either count or they don't. Simple as that. Simple as that. Anyway, let me know what you think. Do you agree with the things that I believe Anthony Yarde needs to work on? In terms of Lyndon Arthur, although his right hand was taken away from him, I do think he should have let it go a little bit more. And I would have liked to have seen more, what's the word I'm looking for? There were moments when Anthony Yarde in that final round was getting up close, leaping in. He seemed a little bit, I don't want to say lost, but I wanted to see him a little bit more, a bit more effective in tying him up and controlling the tempo and stopping him from being able to let his hands go. He didn't seem that comfortable at stopping Yarde from throwing shots when he tried to tie him up. He was instead trying to roll with shots, which can be a little bit dangerous. But he did a great job, a great job. I've got no problem with people feeling he won the fight. But yeah, let me know what you think, how the fight went, how you scored the fight. I've got no problem with people disagreeing with me. Even if you, like I said on the tweet, I've got after 5 rounds, I had a 3-2 to Yarde, but I said I can also understand how you could have it 4-1 to Arthur, because there were some swing rounds. But my scorecard is reinforced in my mind, having watched it again on slow motion. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Chat to you soon.